Today, listeners, it is story time. I'm going to take you on an adventure that I went on. I did a ghost clearing with a ghost hunting team up in Maine, and wowza, it was quite the experience. I know there's going to be some delicious little nuggets of teaching in here, but this one's mostly just going to be a good old fun story because it was one of the most bizarre experiences. I have never been more reactive. We had so many different things happen. It's one of those times that you look back and you're like, okay, I can laugh at it now. But at the time, it wasn't laughable. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad you're joining me for this one. This is going to be a fun one. I mean, they're all fun, right? But this is going to be a fun one. And it's going to be a little bit different. So if you're new to the podcast, welcome. Typically, my episodes, you get a lot of tools and a lot of teachings and things like this. This one's going to be story time. And I will do my best to sneak in some tools and some teaching along the way because my heart is all about passing on tools, concepts, and ideas to help you expand your spiritual path and hone your intuitive channel, which is already there and you're very intuitive. You just got to work at it a little bit. You got to work at opening it up. That's what it's all about. But there's a story that has been kind of bubbling back up in my memory. And I thought to myself, I think I want to share this story on the podcast because it's a fun one. So if you're new, like, subscribe, do all that kind of great stuff. We're building a community here. If you've been with me for a while, buckle up. This is going to be a fun story. Here we go. When I opened up intuitively, I was 32 years old and I started working as a medium. And I started working professionally, and I did so for a couple of years. And I also do spiritual clearings. This is important to know. I did spiritual clearing. I still to this day do spiritual clearings of buildings, locations, people, and I became a little bit known for it in the area where I was working. I was kind of the go-to, if something needs to get cleared, call Bo. And it's something that's very close to my heart. It was a little scary stepping into it because I had all these pop culture, ideas in my head. But after a couple of years of doing clearings and mediumship readings, I was very comfortable with it. So fast forward, I'm like, I don't even know how far down the path I am. I think I was like 4, 5, 6 years as a professional. And I thought, I really want to be unlimited. I want to go somewhere that I'm not hired to go and that there isn't a desired outcome by somebody else. And I just want to stand there and see what I can pick up. And then I kind of want to test myself, right? Because I'm never going to let go of the skeptic in me. It's always going to be there. And I wanted to sort of be unleashed. So I found a ghost hunting team. And I thought, this is perfect because they'll let me come into a quote haunted location and pick up anything I can pick up. And there's no specific outcome that any, one person needs. And it is perfect fit. Took me a couple of ghost hunting teams until I found the right one. I thought I found the right one at first, and then I told them, please set up parameters so I don't know what's going on, and don't feed the medium. And then the very first one I went on, she fed the medium. I remember walking into the first room of the haunted house, and she was like, do you hear a baby crying? I'm like, stop. You're not giving me the space to pick up what I pick up. But it was a great team, just not the right fit. So I found the right fit. Wonderful team. They worked very hard at making sure that my entry into whatever location was a blind entry. They wouldn't tell me where I was going until the night of, and then they would get on site and then they would call me and tell me to drive to a certain town. I'd get to the town and then they would tell me the address and I would drive over. So they did their best to set parameters so they weren't feeding the medium. They weren't setting me up for anything to say this or feel this. So I loved working with this team, loved it. And we got invited to go to, well, it was kind of a popular one. I think one of the television shows covered it at one point. Chip Coffee was there. I don't even remember. And it was a house up in Maine where they highlighted it as haunted. They sold tickets for people to go there and stay there to experience the haunting. And it was bizarre. So we get there and it's a team of 4. There's 4 of us, 2 cars. We arrived in 2 cars, 2 people in one, 2 people in the other. We arrive on the property and we get out and start walking around. It's already late. We didn't get there until 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we initially just start walking around a little bit. This is like out in the boondocks, right? This is out in the woods of Maine. And instantly I'm looking around to see what I can pick up spiritually as a medium. And I don't see anything. Now this house is purportedly like super haunted. And I'm seeing nothing. And then I'm realizing I'm seeing nothing. I can barely see my guides. It was as if blinders were put on, not even blinders, but like a blindfold was put on my intuition. I couldn't see what was around. And a funny thing happens when you have years under your belt of being a medium, going into places that are less than fluffy and perhaps have, negative activity in them. You get used to seeing that negative activity. And when all of a sudden you can't see what might be going bump in the night, that's uncomfortable. And I quickly realized how much I relied on my mediumship and knowing what's around me, and that part of my mediumship made me feel secure. So I'm standing there in the dark next to the car, looking around, and I can't see anything. And intuitively, I can see everything as a human, but my intuition just slammed shut. And I was uncomfortable because there had been so many stories. Famous people came there to not famous people, but mediums that were well known, or a television ghost hunting team had already been there, and it was just known. So it was solid that this place had negative activity in it. And now I can't see what that negative activity is. So I instantly felt paranoia. So what do? Ground clear protect, GCP, anchored in, asked for extra help from Mother Earth, extra help from guides. I started to see, some wolves circling around the outside of the property in spirit form, started to see a couple, and it started to open up. I started to relax a little bit more. I was like, okay, this is cool. The leader of the group, who is absolutely a nonviolent man, said, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I feel like I should have brought, like a weapon. And we were looking at him like, that's not like you. That's really odd. He's like, I'm just feeling really uncomfortable here. Okay. The third team member was a woman. She was a mother of a 17-year-old boy, beautifully loving, slightly overprotective as we can be mother of this boy. And she's also a medium. And so she's scanning outside the property as well. And she looks out toward the woods that were in the back. She says, I feel like there is a grave out there. I feel like it's a young boy, like a teenage boy. And we said, okay, we'll look into that a little bit more. She's like, I feel so worried about him. So, okay, we'll look into that a little more. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together that this place was saturated in paranoia. The energy of this place was like walking in to paranoia soup. Paranoia au gratin, like nobody's business. I'm paranoid that I can't see. The director of the group is paranoid that he might be in danger, which just makes no sense whatsoever. It just doesn't align. The other female that was with us, who's a very skilled medium, feels like she's paranoid that there's a young boy out there that is in trouble. So I know that the 4th member had some feelings of paranoia, but he was also very shy and didn't talk very much. So he didn't express anything of that nature. Okay, I've set the scene. Here's where it gets fun. Walking through the house, the team has just really cool equipment and has set up cameras and microphones within the house in 4 or 5 different places. I don't know. I didn't keep track of that stuff. I was just the medium. And I'm walking around. I'm starting to see things now. And The mom in the group is walking around. I mean, I was a mom too, but the mom that was worried about the energy of a young boy was also walking around picking up more stuff. Things were going smoothly. And we're standing outside again. Cameras are rolling inside. Microphones are rolling inside. There was one camera and microphone that me and one of the team members, that fourth team member who didn't say too much, who's a big guy, right? 6 something, just big, you felt safe around him. So I was kind of sticking with him the whole time. He had gone downstairs into the cellar basement type thing and set up a video camera and a microphone down there. So that's going to come into the story in a little bit. Walking around, picking stuff up. One of the things I picked up on was a woman that had been trapped in that basement. And the door of the basement, so it's just a cellar, it was very small. I mean, maybe, 12 feet by 10 feet in size. And I visually, intuitively picked up this vision of a woman being down there and being locked down there for a while. I didn't see anything happen beyond that. Felt like maybe it was a punishment. She was an adult woman, maybe early 20s. I felt like I was just seeing something historically that had happened in that house. That was one of the things I picked up. Okay, camera set. One in that basement. I did pick up some feelings about a woman being locked in there against her will. Move forward. Picking things up. We go outside. We're taking a break. We were all smokers. So we went outside to have a cigarette. And we're standing out there. And now, backwoods of Maine, right? There's no one around for miles. And 2 trucks, it's now about 1 or 2 in the morning. 2 trucks come barreling down the road, dirt flying, dirt road, I think. And they come and they peel in. It's pretty fast paced and park their trucks kind of behind our cars. And all of us instantly felt like we were in danger. Out of the trucks pour the homeowner, an older woman, and 5 or 6 big, burly guys, big, like ones that you wouldn't pick a fight with guys, really rough around the edges. And in case it wasn't scary enough, because this doesn't happen, they're not supposed to show up in the middle of the night, supposed to leave us alone. They not only did they tear into the driveway and then they all poured out of these trucks, they all stayed silent, including the owner. And they started walking around the property silently, and not a peep. Mind you, a couple of the other things that the other medium and myself had picked up on earlier was some sort of gatherings that people had. It was almost felt sort of cult-like patterns historically on that property. So now we've got the cult-like patterns that came through spiritually. We have these 2 trucks that pull up, intimidating looking men have now jumped out of the trucks, silently looking at us, walking by us. One of them went around the outside of the perimeter, like, I don't know, the wolves that I saw walking around the outside of the perimeter in the beginning. So now I'm starting to feel uncomfortable. A couple of them went in the house. And again, they're silent. They're looking at us, but they're not saying a word, and they're spreading out. And the team is now looking at each other like, this is not okay. And the leader of the ghost hunting team looks at the 3 of us and says, it's time to pack up the equipment. Let's just go. Let's just pack up the equipment. We'll smile through this. It'll be fine. Just let them know we're okay. Because we all agreed in that moment, we don't feel okay. We do not feel safe. And anyone knows, if 4 of you don't feel safe, mind you, still haven't put together the paranoia on the property. So he goes in with the other team member, and the 3 of them all go in. They're packing up gear. And when the gear's packed up, there's so much gear that it's like 10 silver suitcases get loaded in the back of our cars. So a couple of the suitcases came out, and I went in and I grabbed one and I went to go walk out, and one of the guys is there, just standing there, next to my car, staring at me. And I'm like, and I'm taking this equipment suitcase and I'm just putting it in the back, and he wouldn't say a word, just kept staring at me. I'm like, I'm gonna die here. So I'm just smiling, put him in the suitcase. Just loading on up. And he's just standing there. And I turn around and I go back in the house. And as I'm walking back in the house, there'll be a teaching moment on this one. As I'm walking back in the house, I say to my spirit guide, who at the time it was Big Dog, was my main guide. I said, am I okay? And he's like, you have to go now. It's time to go. And I just went, but still remaining absolutely calm, smile on the face. All 4 of the team members were like, oh yeah, we're just wrapping up. And, and again, there's now like 4 or 5 guys standing around silently just looking. And they didn't seem angry. They didn't seem anything. They just blank stares. So it's not even like they were happy or angry. It was just blank stares. And I'm sure I was in a horror movie at that point. Then it gets better, or worse, depending on how you're hearing this. Then I go in and I say to the leader of the group, Big Dog, my guide, said, it's time to go. And the leader of the group said, we're going to pack up a little faster, and looked at me and the other team member and said to the 2 of us, let's not forget the camera in the basement. Great. So we walk over and decide who's going to go first. I don't remember who went first. We did joke about that later. We go down the stairs of this cellar, turn around, and one of those men were down there in that basement, sitting on, I think it was like a freezer that he was sitting on, just staring straight ahead at us, silent. Then the door upstairs started to close. I'm like, well, this is it. This is how I go out. It was a great ride. It was fun. Worry about my kid. Like, my brain was just doing flips. There's a man in the basement. He's not saying anything. He's got a slight smile on his face and he's just staring at us. We're in a cellar. There's a window that's like the size of a shoebox, and my beautiful booty is not going to fit through that. And the door upstairs is closed now because it slowly closed and then shut. I'm convinced myself that door is locked, and I'm done. We're done. It's all done. We still, acting calm, packed up the equipment, probably I think we shoved it into the suitcase that contained it, not properly, but well enough to shut it and lock it and start going back upstairs. I walked upstairs. The team member walked up behind me. And I remember reaching for that handle and thinking, if this door is locked, I know what's going down. And I reached for the handle and I turned the knob and it was not locked. And it was like, okay, all right. I said, hey, to the leader, got the last one downstairs. And we were all like, great, well, it's good seeing you. And the leader had talked a little bit to the homeowner, but she was not talking too much. We get out, we get in the 2 cars, we got out of the driveway, and we started driving down the road. And I don't even remember. We were so panicked at that point because the paranoia had taken us over that I don't even remember which car was in the front, but whoever was driving in the front pulled over to the side of the road a mile down the road. And we pulled, and the second car pulled over. So now we are a mile or 2 down this back road in the middle of Maine at 2-3 in the morning. And we all get out. And what do? We all grab a cigarette. We're like, our hands are shaking. And we go, we couldn't leave there fast enough. And we all started talking to each other about like how we all felt. We all felt the same way, like that we were in danger. And then I don't remember who said it, but someone said, I don't feel like we're far enough away. We all went, agreed. And we put the cigarettes out, jumped in the car, kept driving. We drove for a while, took a right, drove for a while, took another turn. And then there was a garden center And it was the middle of the night. So it was empty and there's nobody in the parking lot, and the parking lot was right next to the road. So we pulled in and we pulled over and we said, oh, okay, we're going to ground clear, protect. We're going to sort of shake this off. We're not going to bring this home with us. This is over. We're safe. We're okay. And we're standing outside of the cars again in this parking lot, and another truck, not the ones that we saw back there, but very similar, pulled in at the end of the parking lot and turned around so that the driver could look at us, and just another older, big guy was looking at us at 3 a.m. And we went, well, we're out. And we all went home. Okay. I have never done as much clearing on myself as that day. I cleared and asked my guides to clear and I was like, Archangel Michael, somebody come down here and clear me. Okay. I'm not going to go into my home with this energy. So I go into my home, and all of a sudden I walk into my home. Now, mind you, I do GCP, ground clear protect intent exercise around my home every day. And the overall result of that over time is that it becomes this beautiful like bubble around your home that won't let anything into your home that isn't for you or your family's highest good. And I walked into my home and I instantly felt completely different. Now, I cleared most of it, but walking into my home, walking into that well-established protective bubble that I had built over time, washed away any remnants of the paranoia. And that's when I went, something's wrong. I don't think my reactions, or the team's reactions for that matter, were really our reactions that were really legit, like there's something wrong, something's off. But I felt perfectly fine. Like nothing had even happened that day. It was so strange. Went to bed, because now it's like 3, 4 a.m. Went to bed, woke up the next day, and I was driving to a bank. I remember that. I was driving to a bank, and the leader of the group called me, and I answered the call. And I said, how are you doing? Because when I got home, I felt fine. He said, yeah, me too. He said, but I got to tell you something. I said, what? He goes, the recordings in the house, when we were outside and they originally went into the house the first time and we were so scared, he said they walked into the house and they made sure to remind each other, and it was picked up on a recording. The guys all talked to each other, reminding each other to not say a word because they wanted to be polite and not disturb the ghost hunting team. They didn't want to mess anything up. So they wanted to be as non-invasive as possible. They didn't want to bother us. And I was sitting there in the parking lot looking at the team leader going, wow, that fits. That really fits. It would explain why they didn't look happy, why they didn't look angry, why they didn't look anything. They just were trying to be a fly on the wall that didn't disturb the situation. But wow, did we translate that one wrong. And it was because of the paranoia. I'm going to end this story and then I'll hit you with a couple teaching moments in it to wrap up. But the funny part is my guide has such a sense of humor that I hung up the phone, still in the bank parking lot. It's like 10 a.m. Hung up the phone, said to my guide, I don't understand. You told me, hey, you got to go. And he said, no, you translated it that way. I did tell you that the evening was over and it was time to wrap up and it's okay to go, but you translated it through fear. And he said, it ended up being a safe walk in Maine. Took a deep breath, got out of the car. Oh, it was a library. That's what it was, because I was going there because I was going to do a lecture. And it was a library and it wasn't a bank. And I remember I walked up and I walked into the first sort of double sets of doors, and there was a poster off to the right of another event or group or something that the library was sponsoring. And the poster said, a safe walk in Maine. And I just laughed. I guffawed. It was like, okay, we were never in danger. And wow, did we translate that? And I was so grateful for the audio recordings to confirm that for us, because I felt like I walked through an absolute horror movie. I was sure I wasn't coming home that night. And once I took a deep breath, here are the things that I learned about myself too. Our emotions skew our intuition. This is why it's so important to declutter, to not let our own stuff come in, because my fear translated what my guides were saying. It translated what I was picking up. Who knows if anything I picked up that night was even accurate, because there was an energy like a cloud. Picture a dark cloud of fog just over this property. Had been so many people that had come there and expected a haunting, and there was so many spirits that had come there happy to haunt. So this place was a hotbed for paranoid, spooky, scary energy. And again, still new to my clearing career, so I didn't think to look for that level of energy, but we got there and we instantly walked into the soup of everyone's paranoid emotions who had been there and their feelings, and that sunk right on in. It made the mom worried about a 17-year-old. It made me worried that I couldn't see anything. It made the leader of the group worried. We all were submersed in paranoia. And the first thing I should have done is looked at the energy. There's no should haves, right? We learn every time we do something. But if you have a feeling that is really uncomfortable, take steps to look for the source of that feeling. GCP, absolutely. And in the end, this is the experience we were supposed to have. But GCP, absolutely. And then ask yourself, is this me feeling this? Or am I picking up the feeling of the place, of the location? If I would have done that, I would have gotten some clarity that this is, the place of the location making me feel this way. So it is very possible that the built up energy at a location can make you feel a certain way. And it's even more possible that you'll make that very human, natural assumption that it's you, that I made the assumption that I couldn't see. Something's wrong with what I'm doing here. I don't know what's going on, right? So we can be energetically affected in a way that will get us to think a certain way or feel a certain way. And it is really important to stay on top of knowing that, the energy of a place can make you respond, react, behave, think, and feel a certain way when you're in that energy. Just the simple fact of knowing that, remembering that, or keeping that in mind, especially when you go to a highly charged location such as this, that's really going to be the game changer. It's going to give you your own control of your own energy again and be able to start seeing things with a little bit more clarity. Now, if that paranoid energy wasn't there and they all just showed up, we might have thought they were all just being curious and coming on over at the end of their hangout down at the local bar. But the translation was wild. It was absolutely wild. So I guess your teaching moments would be, please remember that you can feel a certain way or react a certain way as a result of the energy of a location. Please know that you can also translate messages that come through, even from your guides, differently, and as a result, sometimes incorrectly, because they are being translated through the filter of your own fear. So when I teach people to put their intent aside, put their emotions aside, so they go into something with a blank slate and they don't have any judgment and they're not bringing their stuff into it, I teach that for a reason, because it's really, really important. And it might save you from having a terrifying walk in Maine when really it was a safe walk in Maine. Thank you for coming to my story time. I'll throw a couple of these out every now and then. Next episode, we'll get back into some teaching stuff, but I thought you'd enjoy that story. It was quite a wild night, and thank you for letting me share it.